Okay, this is Wednesday, August 18th, our highlight video from GreatStockPicks.com. Again, we didn't have any videos last week. We were on vacation. That's why there's no highlights from last week on the results page as well on the website. But today, some real good stuff. Let's talk about it. Abercrombie & Fitch ANF. Called this as a long right here at 34.52. Worst case stop, 15 cents below. Never gets hit. Stop was right about down here. And from 34.52, Abercrombie & Fitch goes to 36.16. Moves $1.64 in our favor. Again, on 15 cents risk that never gets hit. So that's I'm starting off with my best call of the day because that's a fun one to brag about. But Abercrombie was real good to us. Another one that's on the highlight page, J.C. Penney's. Again, these candles over here are yesterday's close. This is today's opening candle, 5-minute candles. Called Penney's a little bit unusual for me, but I called it right as it broke its early high. Worst case stop, really right below 20 here. And from 2016 was the trigger. This J.C. Penney's made it to 2077 at one point. So a 61-cent move in our favor on about 20 cents risk. So another nice one there. But you can see from the entry, never really looked back. Those are the ones we like. The ones that after you take it, you can get to a break-even stop. Again, same thing with Abercrombie. Once it triggered, never looked back. So you can go for break-even stop, sell some, go to the gym or go see a movie, come back later in the day, and have a nice surprise waiting for you. As long as you put that break-even stop in. Those are the accidental intraday home runs that I just love. A couple others to talk about. Urban Outfitters. Actually, I missed an early trade here, but I did call it on even a break of this tight base here, right here with a worst case stop. Not a huge move, but a nice trade there. I'm not going to go into the numbers. AGCO. This is one of those bottom feeding type plays. And we did call this as a long right there. Worst case stop right here. And this is what a lot of August afternoons give you in a lot of charts. But it still gave a nice bounce, a nice tradable, profitable bounce there. But a lot of sideways nonsense the rest of the day. CE, another example of one of those. Called this as a long right there. And you can see that at some point it moved up to give you a nice, whoops, that's supposed to be a line. Moved up to give you a nice profit. But a lot of sideways stuff. And it did meander higher later in the day, so really not much to brag about. Didn't put it on our results page or anything. This one I was kind of proud of. RDC, using a method we teach. I called this really within 2 minutes of the low of the day. Called it at 25.75. I'm trying to put an arrow. Probably about right here. I mean, almost. This literally within a minute or two from the low of the day. 25.75. Our worst case stop, 25.69, which was probably right here. So here was the entry. Here's the worst case stop. Never gets down. This was an audible, if you will. I called this over the microphone. Didn't have time to type it. But 25.75. Let me get the drawing tool off. This did make it all the way up to 26.46. So I mean, anywhere, even within a couple minutes, you had a nice trade. But if you held it longer, certainly worked out great. Can't remember if I already showed this one. Yeah, I showed that one too. So that's about it for the highlights. We have stuff. People always ask, well, you never show losses. Here's a good example. I tried to catch the top on lows as a short. Right around 20.75, I think, right here. And it only went down to like 20.72, went sideways for a while, killed it at 20.77. So there's about a 2-penny loss. But it's a good example of, we're always looking for the tight triggers and stops. My worst case stop originally was the high of the day when I took this short here, which was still like 7 cents away. But, once they meander around and don't really follow through, it's actually unusual that I held it this long. Once it came down a little bit, when it comes back up, normally I'll kill it. I gave it a little bit of leeway, kind of expecting a late day sell-off in the market with jobs number coming out tomorrow. And there was a bit of selling at the end of the day, but not in lows. So, I showed a potential trade that didn't work. I'm trying to think if had any other stuff from the day. Give me a second here. You know what? I'll make this a little bit of a longer video. I'll show some other ideas that weren't huge, didn't make the results page, but cocoa, these educational stocks have been killed. So we call it cocoa for a trade idea right here as it broke its early high, because we had this nice tight base here. So I thought if it breaks this high, worst case stop right there. And really a quick dime, a little more than a quick dime, I think, on a $5 stock. Not too bad. What are some others? DeVry, another educational stock. I thought these things might get a pop today. Let me use my arrow. Called DeVry long right here. Worst case stop right here. And I'll give you the numbers. The long call on DeVry was 39.12, and 10 minutes later it was at 39.77, and I was selling all the way up. So that was a nice trade too, but not necessarily worthy of the results page. So there's some other ideas that we had today. Chico's gapped up and then called it on fives here, long right there. Again, but look how it went sideways. Nice close, but this August trading takes a lot of sideways stuff, and it'll drive you crazy waiting on some of it. I'm looking over my calls from the day. PGN we called as a long right here. Actually, one of our members used another method that we teach and was able to grab it right down here. Coles, and this is about it. I don't have too much more. I tried to catch Coles, KSS, as a short right there. Worst case stop, very tight right there. Stop never got hit, but look what it did after that. Just straight sideways for the next hour or so, and finally tailed off a little bit at the end. So this is the reason I normally don't go over all the calls from the day. When we call something, it just goes sideways afterwards, and it just makes these videos long, and it's not worth it. So hopefully the gist of what we're trying to show is that most of everything we look for is going to have a very tight trigger and stop. Don't mean to imply that they all work. Some of them, like Coles, we caught the top basically within 5 minutes, but it just meandered sideways, and that can happen. So low risk trading is what it's all about, though, and that's what we strive to do. So I'm going to quit babbling, and we'll have another video from tomorrow's highlights on tomorrow night. Have a great night.